Welcome to another episode of Prioritize. They accomplish while you drown in lists. It's difficult to juggle your responsibilities. Husband, father, brother. It goes on, but your energy doesn't.
You pondering what I'm pondering?
Prioritize what's right for you, not what's left behind. This is Prioritize with Toby Baker.
You'll have to speak up. I'm wearing a towel.
Now, we're not pulling our foot off the gas pedal just yet. This is where you line up your credit card debts, smallest to largest in your amounts, smallest amount to the largest amount. We're going to do what's called the debt snowball system. Smallest amount to largest amount. We're not doing this via our percentage rate. Yes, that is the smartest way, right? Because if I pay off the one with the highest interest rate first, then I'm going to get out of debt earlier. Statistically, no, you're not. That's not going to happen. Logically, we should. But statistically, no. Because your journey becomes much longer. Why? Because you got no momentum. There's no momentum there. You've been compiling debt for months, if not years on end. And then you're going to look at this and say, okay, here's the way we're going to do this. We're going to think our way out of it. You didn't think your way into debt, ladies and gentlemen. We walked into debt, knowingly or unknowingly. And I bet it knowingly. I walked into debt knowingly. My wife and I walked into debt knowingly. We're going to have to work our way out of debt. We're going to get a bigger shovel. We're going to make a little more money. We're going to set that money aside. So this isn't about investing right now. You are not in the investment game. If you're on investments and you're deep into debt, stop your investments. I know, but they're giving me extra money. They're going to give me 2%. They're adding into it. Got it. That's not for you right now. Listen, the greatest connection between you and making and retiring wealthy, making $1 million, multi-million dollars, retiring wealthy, and living well in retirement is your ability to earn money. And then you're going to make that money earn more money. You're going to make that money earn money for you. So then you're not working as hard. But when you are parting out your money into all these different envelopes, into all these different funnels, where you got your car payment, you got your home loan, you got food, you're trying to keep the electricity on, you're trying to keep the clothes on your back and what threads you still have together that haven't fallen off yet. You're trying to keep your kids clothed, food in their mouths. You're trying to keep the food in the mouths at school because we all know that cost has gone up. The cost at the grocery store has gone up, and we certainly all know the cost at the gas pumps have gone up, right? This is not news to anyone if you've turned on a news channel anytime in the last couple of weeks. So yeah, it's becoming harder. And it's going to become even harder in the near future the longer we're in debt. That's why it's so important to get out of debt now. Get that crap off your shoulders. Aren't you tired of being weighed down by all this baloney that we pulled onto ourselves? Aren't you tired of carrying around this weight? Well, I really deserve that truck. I talked with a guy 2.5 years ago who was working all day long and his truck was starting to break down. You know what he did? And he was working all day long so that they could get out of debt because they really needed to get things paid off. He went and got a brand new truck with a brand new payment. I thought to myself, are you crazy? He says to me, well, I didn't say it to him out loud because he didn't ask for my advice. And so generally when people are not asking for my advice, I don't render it. And it's just me just mouthing off, right? You didn't ask me for my advice. You didn't ask me for my opinion. But if you're listening, I'm guessing you might want it. So thanks for listening. Really appreciate it. Thanks. Thanks a lot. He says, well, I work hard. I deserve it. Guys, we're buying into this lie that they're selling us because they want more of our money. Hey, you work hard. You deserve this $30,000 couch. I was looking at the, what do they call them? Not Chesapeake, not Chesapeake, with the Chesterfield couches. You ever seen these things? They're always in Harvard and the very Ivy League schools where it's a tufted leather couch. It looks very cool. It's stressed. It's got all the beautiful leather. It's like a $30,000 plus couch. I thought, oh my goodness. But hey, you worked hard. You deserve to go into debt. We don't say it that way, right? We say to ourselves, I worked hard. I deserve to go out to eat and put more money on my credit card debt. I deserve to go out and get that brand new vehicle so I can drive around in this shiny new vehicle. Hey, here's a news flash. Your friends care more about you than they do about your brand new car. Your friends care more about you than they do about your Louis Vuitton bag and about your Burberry coat or your Burberry scarf. They care more about you than your brand new sneakers. They would actually like to see you get out of debt rather than to go buy a bunch of crap to try to impress them. You ever heard the phrase, people go out into debt to buy stupid stuff they don't need to impress people they don't even know? Why do we do this? Because I think it's cool. I want to look cool. I got to look cool. I don't know if I've ever looked cool. I've always wanted to look cool. You ever wanted to look cool? I always thought it would be neat to look cool. I don't know if I ever looked cool. I always tried to look cool. I went into debt trying to look cool. That was so stupid. Those people don't care about what I'm wearing. You ever heard of the Project 333? So this lady who was in debt and kept buying clothing, had a clothing habit, made a challenge to herself that she was going to wear just 33 items in her closet for the next 3 months. That's what she did. Then she got rid of most of her clothes. And it started this great trend, this huge phenomena, sweeping the countryside for people wanting to minimalize their wardrobes and stop buying a bunch of stuff that is sold to us by a very smart marketing campaign by really big money people. Huge name brands. They will, if you've never seen it, why can't I talk today? If you've never seen the documentary, hop on, I think it's still on Netflix. It's the Minimalist documentary, and they go into a little bit of detail on some of the clothing companies and the name brands that will take their clothing line from that week. We used to have a couple different seasons in the year. Then it was 4 seasons. Now it's 52 different seasons. And they will take their wardrobe at the end of the week. If it hasn't sold, if it hasn't shipped, if it's still on the shelves, they'll take it, they'll scarve it up with razor blades, and they'll toss it into the trash so nobody can take it and wear it, so that nobody can take it and resell it. And then they have next week's wardrobe. Isn't that insane? It seems a little crazy to me. Maybe that's because I'm not in the fashion world and I just don't understand how it works. But I wonder, obviously this is a two-way street, because they wouldn't be able to sell us the clothes or the bags or the purses or the watches. I'm a watch guy. I love watches. I'm not going to lie to you. Or the wallets or the cars, if we weren't willing to buy all that stuff. Do we honestly need it? Can I question myself just for 2 minutes at the store? Do I need this? Is this going to fit into my closet? What am I going to get rid of in order to get this thing? My brother-in-law has this great idea of looking at new purchases. He'll look at a sweatshirt or he'll look at a thing or a service, and he'll ask the question, how long am I going to have to work in order to pay for this item? How long are you going to have to work in order to pay for that car? Is it worth it? How long are you going to have to work in order to pay for that shirt, that tie, that pair of socks? Hey, I'm not hating on the socks, all right? I likes me a nice pair of socks. Every once in a while, I'll also go sockless. I like it. Either way, it's good, okay? I like a nice pair of denim. I'm not going into debt to get a decent pair of denim to show off. I'll go to the Salvation Army. I'll go to the thrift stores. We flew down to Florida to see some family. There's some really cool thrift stores out there where you're not spending $300 for a polo. And that is probably cheap. You're probably, maybe you're listening to this like, this is a cheap guy. Why? Who spends less than $1,000? I do. Me. I spend less than $1,000 on a polo. If I'm spending more than $20, I'm like, I don't know. This is worth it. You know, maybe I'll find it at a thrift store, at a Goodwill, the Salvation Army. I'm starting to see these other ones now. The Franciscan family thrift. I've been in there a couple times. It's not bad. It's not bad. I was talking just yesterday, I think, on Nespresso. You ever heard of Nespresso? See, gang, there are alternatives to going to the mall. There are actually alternatives to Amazon. Excuse me. We were going to the Salvation Army, my wife and I, prior to us going to Jamaica. We're like, hey, let's see what kind of threads they got there. Maybe they got some linen shirts. They happen to have one linen shirt in my size. So I'm easy to fit, though. I'm between like a large and a medium. I'm kind of bordering large and extra large medium. I'm like right in that area. But I'm certain that when I am at 200 pounds, I will be between large and a medium, if not between a medium and a large. Not that that matters. We hit the Salvation Army, and they had an espresso machine. And I was like, maybe it's used and it actually still works. You ever used espresso before? I was working on a project over in Nutley, New Jersey with the Polo Ralph Lauren folks, and it seemed like everyone had these machines. Unfortunately, none of them had any of the capsules. That's because they didn't have a nice little grocery store next to them that I do. Well, it's not like right next to me. It's about a half hour away. I found a grocery store, it's a discount grocery store that will sell the capsules for 85 cents a box. That's right, you heard correctly. Not $10 a box, not $15 a box. A box has 10 capsules, 85 cents. How did I find this? I looked, I listened. We were part of a community, and this friend said, hey, you should try out a Rayburn Discount Grocery. Should I? Really? So I went and tried it out. Oh my gosh! I didn't know you had 85-cent Nespresso capsules from Starbucks. And who's the other one that I just came across? It was actually from Nespresso. They had a sleeve. They had 4 sleeves on this. So I'm buying all of them. I'm shoving them all into my cart. I'm like, give me these things. So we found at the Salvation Army prior to this, we found an espresso machine. It had Target tape on. I'm like, I wonder why. The only thing I can figure is that somebody bought it from Target, opened it up, decided they didn't want it, shipped it back to Target. Target could not accept it back into their inventory. They sold it out to the Salvation Army, and fortunately, God himself was shining down above. Toby, here is an espresso. He doesn't sound like that in real life. I think it's probably different. I didn't actually hear him, but I did see a shining light on top of this box, and I opened it up. Wouldn't you know it, nothing had been used. It's not like it had been barely used, and then they rinsed it out, dried it off, and shoved it back in the box. They didn't even use the sample capsules, mind you. I grabbed the box. They actually had another one, but I had already grabbed this one, and they only had the 2. And I'm like, I'm getting this one. So we snagged it. It was like $35. $35. How do you pass up a brand new Nespresso machine with the sample capsules unused? I got it home. It still worked. I went through every last sample capsule. I was so excited. I was like the Office episode, right, where they get that Nespresso machine. And Kevin is going crazy, and they're pulling up carpeting. And then at the very end of the show, Kevin is trying to hobble out of. He's so out of it. That was me. I was Kevin's, like, who's better than Kevin on The Office, right? Come on. You feel me on this? I think we're at baby step 1 still. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get there. Okay, $1,000 set aside. We're not eating in restaurants right now because we're in debt, okay? The only time we should be in a restaurant is if we're serving, right? So we're not going out to eat right now. We're not spending gobs of money on Nespresso machines. Save that for later. Right now, we are in crisis mode. You want to get out of debt fast? You have to focus. Don't let that scatter off into the new line of Louis Vuitton down the road. Don't do that. It's not worth it because you are leveraging that bag with your own money. You are paying a percentage just to have that bag in your closet. You might be buying that bag with cash, but if you're still carrying around debt, you're not buying that with cash. You're just not using that cash to beat down your debt. So that's what we're going to do. From here on out, ladies and gents, you're cutting up your cards. You're committing plastic surgery. Get all the plastic out of your wallet. You're going to chop it up. You're going to send it through the shredder. You're making a decision. Secondly, well, actually, firstly. So before firstly, the section before that, and if you're married, you definitely need to be on the same page. And if you're not on the same page, it's going to be a little bit of a hassle. But that's why we're here. That's why I coach. Because I want people to live freely without all that debt. The borrower is slave to the lender. Joyce and I were slaves to our student loans, federal student loans for more than 20 years. And we're like, this is stupid. Because we've kept that loan around so long, it was a pet. It might as well have had an extra room upstairs. It was ridiculous. And I said, it is time to stop. So we listened to the programs. We were watching the videos and like, we're on board. How do you sell this to your spouse, to your wife who may not be on board? It's kind of like, maybe we'll do this. Sell the vision. Get the huge detailed vision of why you want to be out of debt. Why did Joyce and I want to be out of debt? Because we wanted to travel. We wanted to drink an espresso in Italy. We wanted to eat a taco in Cancun, Mexico. We wanted to dance under the aurora borealis and the northern lights in Alaska. And you can't do all that when you're deep in debt. We wanted to pay off the house. There's some toys that I would like to buy. There's a spa that I would love to have at our home. Why buy these things? Why go to those places when we are deep in debt? Because we're financing all these toys and all these vacations by our own debt. It's stupid, and I'm tired of giving our money away. So we had the grand vision. Maybe you guys want to go to Walt Disney World, paying with cash. Maybe you want to travel the world and not be a slave to the boss that you don't like, that you're tired of. And you're tired of going to the office. Like, if I were out of debt, I'd have my gigs and I could work wherever I wanted. How would you like that kind of freedom, folks? This is a solid way to do that. I'm not asking you to buy any programs. I don't want you to buy any programs. Stop buying programs. Get into Financial Peace University. It is a baby step program. I've heard millionaires who were deep in debt. I've heard thousandaires who were deep in debt. They're calling into this program, and on every single call, Dave is walking them right through the baby steps. It doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are. It doesn't matter your demographic. It works because it's the principle of the thing. Not the demographic, it works if you're in this part of the country, but not in the Midwest. It works if you're in Florida, but not in California. No. None of that matters. All right? Baby step one, you got your $1,000. You're locking that away for the rainy day for when, not if. But when Murphy comes knocking at your door and he says, hey, time for your stove to break and your refrigerator to go out. Well, fortunately, you have your $1,000 emergency fund. And here's the thing, gang. Be smart about your next purchase. Because you don't have to go out to the appliance store and buy a brand new refrigerator with a 3-year extended warranty for $2,600. Boy, Tobe, that sounds like that's really detailed. And you're right, it is. My wife just came home on the same day that we were going out to buy our refrigerator at $100. And she tells me that her boss had to take 2 days off work. That's 2 days off work where he's not earning the dollars. He had to stay home and wait for the appliance guy, service guy, to come and service the refrigerator. While the parts were still under warranty because it was only like 6 months old, the service was not. So he got to not make money, pay a service guy more than $400 to come out and work on his refrigerator for 2 days. Boy, that sounds like a ripoff. Yeah, especially since he just dropped $2,600 6 months ago on this piece of equipment that he thought and was sold on. This is going to fix my problems. It turns out it didn't. So what did we do when an appliance broke down? Like, I don't know, our washing machine? I went to Facebook online marketplace where there's hundreds of online garage sales. People are trying to get rid of their old stuff because they are going out and getting brand new appliances. Sometimes you come across people who are just flipping appliances and it's a brand new thing that's just a scratch and a dent on there. Do you think, for the sake of your debt-free journey, you could accept a dishwasher or a dryer or a refrigerator with a scratch in the front and a dent in the middle that still operated the same way as a $1,000 refrigerator did or a $2,600 refrigerator did if it meant it saved you, I don't know, $2,500? Would that be worth it? Just going on to Facebook online marketplace and spending a couple of hours zeroing in on a refrigerator, talking with people. Hey, I want to make sure this still works. I'm on a debt-free journey and I'm trying to get out, and unfortunately we just lost our refrigerator. Yeah, but you don't understand. We'll lose all of our food by trying to play the sales game. So you lose, what, a couple $100 in food versus $2,600 that if you're in debt and you don't have the emergency fund, chances are you're probably financing. Wouldn't it be great if you had an emergency fund? Guys, I know the excuses. I hear them every day. I've used them myself. I can use them better than you can. I'm tired of using an excuse to go out and get something brand new that still breaks down. Ugh. So let's stop with the Ouroboros. Let's stop eating our tail. Let's stop chasing our tail. Let's decide we're done with debt. We're starting this. Here's the big vision. We're going to live life debt-free. We're going to travel paying with cash. We're going to go on vacations. We're going to buy those toys. How are we going to do that? With cash, not with debt. Baby step 2, we're lining up all your debts. You're not doing with interest. We already covered this. Why? Because we're not doing this the perceived logical way. Statistically, that does not work. You're building momentum. This is the debt snowball, folks. This is the debt snowball. You're paying the minimum across all the way across the board on all your credit cards, your school loans, not your home loan. This is everything except for the home loan. If you're renting, you don't have that anyway. But you got your mortgage, everything across the board except for the home loan. The mortgage we're not touching in this debt snowball. Yes, you're still going to pay on your mortgage. But think about this, okay? Get your credit cards. Get your credit card debts. You already committed the plastic surgery. So now we got all of our debts lined up, smallest to largest in amount. You pay the minimum across all of them, and then you take that leftover part after you've kept up your 4 walls. Tobe, what are the 4 walls? I'm new to this. I'm just coming on board. Settle down, okay? 4 walls are, you got your lights and your heat, your electricity, your utilities, right? You got your mortgage or your rent payment. Let's make sure we have a place to live. Let's make sure we got clothes on our back and food in the fridge, okay? Make sure you got your transportation. Those are your 4 walls. You got all that set up? Good. Take that leftover amount after paying the minimum across all your consumer debt. They call it consumer debt. Take that leftover amount, throw it at the least amount, throw it at the smallest amount. Throw it at that thing that's way at the bottom. And do that. Keep doing that. Race to get that out of your life. Once that's done, then you roll up that amount you were paying on your smallest debt to the next smallest. Then we're going to start that snowball. You ever seen an avalanche? Starts small and then rolls large, right? It's the same thing with snowballs. It's the same thing with making the snowman in the winter. Anybody do that this year? I don't think we had enough snow. We had snow for like 2 days and then it was gone. Anyway, start small and then you roll it and it gets larger and larger. You keep paying off those small amounts. That's the way you get out of that consumer debt. You can't keep cutting in new holes into your boat. Stop with the credit cards. Get them out your life. Pay down all that debt. Joyce and I just finished paying off the car and our personal loan a couple of weeks ago. That is out. That is out of our life. We're having a celebration dinner of being debt-free. We're going to pay for it in cash, obviously. We're actually going to do it at home, too. That's coming up in a couple of weeks, right after Lent, because I stand with my wife in solidarity. Neither one of us are Catholic, but she wanted to use Lent as an excuse to stop drinking coffee. She felt she was addicted to coffee. Holler if you hear me, if you likes the coffee. I like the coffee. I'm guessing we might have a few coffee drinkers out there in the audience. So here's what we did. She switched to tea. Like a spot of tea. Yes, like a spot of tea. So now instead of a cup of coffee, I'll still do the espresso, but in solidarity, I said, okay, if you're doing the coffee, you're putting coffee on hiatus. I will likewise put the bourbon on hiatus. I will put the sugar on hiatus. carbs, dairy, right? So it's like a kind of a modified paleo, but most of that is out of the life, and we still got not 2 weeks even. Sorry, not even 2 weeks. It's 10 days. I was just looking at the calendar. 10 days left. 10 days remaining, I think. So don't like Sorry, don't hurt me if I'm a little wrong. I think that's what it is. At any rate. So in solidarity and with cash, we will celebrate being out of debt. You got to find these little points of celebration, right? You got your $1,000. Good. Do something small for you. You reach that baby step. Celebrate. Get some friends together. Throw a very, very small party. Not going into debt. Buy a pizza or get a really nice cup of coffee and, pat yourself on the shoulder and then buckle down again. Baby step 2. This one is going to be a little bit longer of a process. But the average individual, when they buckle down, when they do these baby steps, when they're not visiting restaurants, when they're not using their credit card to go deeper into debt, when they're working on that $1,000 and then they get to baby step 2, they're out of debt in 2 years or less. And they're paying off like $30,000. 2 years. How do they do that? These baby steps. All right? They go out. They're getting an extra 2 or 3 jobs. They're delivering pizzas on the weekend. They're doing the Uber. They're doing the Lyft. They're doing the DoorDash. They're finding ways. This is the gig economy. Ask your wife to go to Pinterest. I hate going to Pinterest. Yes, I will go to Pinterest every once in a while because I like to find the new the recipes, but I hate trying to look at it on my phone. I got to exit out of like 4 different ads that keep popping up, and then I'll scroll down a little. Here's another ad. I got to, and then some of them have this little button. Let's skip directly to the recipe. I love that button. I love it. I love the button. Tob, what are you using Pinterest for? What's the matter with? Because paleo recipes. There's a lot of paleo recipes on there, and I don't need the whole story of, well, you see, way back when my great-grandfather was a little boy, he discovered this brick house. And then for the next 7 pages, I'm learning all about your great-grandfather passing along this chili recipe to your grandfather, to your dad, and then finally to you. But somehow in the mix, the recipe got changed, and then I get it. It's a family recipe. It's in there for, 7 generations. Can I just get the recipe and then I'll move on? Maybe that's what you're saying right now. Tob, just give me the baby steps. Shut up so that we can get on with our lives.